The very first graphic that you'll really need for your stream is some kind of overlay. You will want something that displays your social media, has a section for your camera if you're choosing to use camera that's going to show off your game. Maybe you want to include chat, maybe you want to show recent followers or donations. There's a lot of elements that we've talked about in previous and future lessons that you might want to be part of your overlay. So the very first thing that you decide is what exactly do you want to make a part of it? And so I'll show you some of the overlays that I've used in the past. Now I have two main types. I have one where I'm gaming, and when I'm gaming, I really have a very minimal overlay. So what I did is I made this frame right here, and my webcam fits inside of it. And this is all that I have on my screen, is I just have my webcam with this little frame that has my social media, and then underneath it, I just put the recent donation, subscriber, follower, etc. as text inputs, which we showed you guys how to do previously. And I keep that really, really basic for gaming. So as I switch my games, I can just move the frame around to different places on my OBS software, and I'm not stuck with a giant overlay that has fixed placements for things like what you're seeing here. And so what you're seeing here with these overlays is actually very game specific. So I designed these overlays to fit with the Dota 2 drafting queue waiting screens. And so these three different overlays that you're seeing here all represent different screens in Dota before the gameplay starts. It allows me to fit a lot more information on the screen and showcase different aspects of the game while still, for me, maintaining a large camera. Because big part of my stream are really weird facial reactions and things like that. And so I want to emphasize that as much as possible. And so I usually try and have a larger camera when gameplay is not happening. And then when I'm in gameplay, I switch back to this. And so those are decisions that you want to make. Do you want to not have complicated overlays and really just have a small camera in a frame with the gameplay always up? It'll also depend on the kind of game that you're playing if you need to do something like this. Or do you want to have a lot of complicated transition screens, which I say complicated, they're fairly simple. But do you want to have a bunch of transition screens that kind of lets you have more fun backgrounds and lets you show more information and have more cool things up on the screen? And so that's up to you for deciding what you want your stream aesthetic to be. But I have a few overlay screens that I'm going to recommend. And the first one is to build yourself some kind of frame that just shows off your basic social media and gives you a camera placement. If you're not using a camera, then you're just going to build something that shows social media, and then maybe you add a few more bars here that will let you show recent followers, donations, subscribers, etc. And just want to note, what I'm showing you now is I actually build all of these in Google Slides. And then you can download them as images, and I'm going to show you how you can make them transparent and take out this white background if you need to in OBS. And then if you are any kind of proficient in Photoshop or the freeware version called GIMP, it's very easy to remove solid colors like this. So that's up to your personal graphic skill, but I'll show you how to basically do it in OBS in a later lecture. So as I was saying, I'm going to do a few basics. So this is the first basic. You definitely need some kind of frame, some kind of gameplay information that you're going to show to people. Now the other screen that I really like is one that has a slightly larger camera, and actually either of these could be the camera, and then the full game screen. And what this does is if you're taking a break during the game, a little pause, and you just want to sit and talk with your followers, it gives you a bigger camera so you get that interaction, but they still see the game. So people who are tuning into the stream, they know what game you're playing. They know that you're taking a pause before a big boss fight, or you're queuing for a new match in CSGO, or you're waiting for Hearthstone queue to pop, something like that. So it gives you this, I call this my queue screen. This is my in-between screen. Down here are places that I have for subscribers, donations, followers, with icons that just correspond to something on my channel. And then again, I have my social media. And then anytime I want to add something themed or special, I still have a lot of space in this overlay. It keeps it from feeling cluttered, but it also gives me the option to kind of add more to it. And I really like having flexible overlays. And then the last overlay is actually one that's just full camera. and that's going to kind of go back to this, is when you have the full camera, you can put the frame around the entire border, or you can just crop your source and only show this top part here if you want just to have your social media showing. And like I said, I really like to use Google Slides for this, because what you'll see is in the springtime, I have all of these lovely spring images as my background pictures, but then in the fall, I can switch to something like fall. And this is really easy to, these overlays only take me a few minutes to create, because I can duplicate the slide and then say I just wanted a solid color background. I have the exact same slide set up, the placement and everything, and all I've done is change the background. And that makes life very easy, because now I can update my stream aesthetic whenever I want, and it won't take me hours and hours of graphic design. I can just sit down and do it in a few minutes once I have a new idea or theme that I want to try. And so those are kind of your important graphics aspects for creating your overlays. And like I said, mine are game specific. So you can do game specific ones, or you can do these more generic overlays and do something fun like a St. Patrick's Day theme if you want to add an extra little element to them. And just by using Google Slides or PowerPoint or some kind of basic template and just changing the background images, it really streamlines my graphics process, and it maintains a central brand as far as my layout, but allows me to change the graphics quite a bit so that my viewers get an exciting new taste of things, so that they see I'm always putting in the effort, and it just makes the streams more fun to constantly update them like this. So as you look around at other streamer overlays and you think about your streaming setup, think about ways that you can almost standardize your graphics so that you can have a lot of different fun ways to set them up and just constantly customize and make new ones without a lot of work for yourself. In Lecture 2, now that we've talked about how to actually make your graphics and design them, I'm going to show you guys how to add your graphics to your streaming software and get them all set up and ready to go. And so here we are, if we look at OBS and ignore the infinite tiles of OBS, say we want to add one of those overlays that I was showing you guys. So you right click here at the bottom and you say add, and this is going to be an image. So if we want to add just overlay test 1, you can name it whatever you want, and then you have to go looking for it. And so I'm going to add this one so that I can show you guys how to remove these yellow boxes so that you can actually have a transparent source showing. So the overlay has been added, and you just drag to resize it. And the other nice thing about the slides is that they're already the right aspect ratio to fit right into your OBS. And now what we're going to do is we can click on this overlay and we can go to filters. Now these filters are great, and there's a lot of different ones. So I'm going to show you guys, we're going to do a color key. So I'm going to call this color key yellow. And from color key type, it'll automatically give you a couple different ones, but you can select a custom color. And so you're going to say select color, and you can say pick screen color. And you're just going to hover your mouse over the big yellow block on the screen. Now once that's done, you can see that it removed all yellow from this source. Now there's a slight problem with this in that the Instagram logo actually has a small bit of yellow in it. So when you're designing your overlays, you need to make sure you pick a color that really isn't included anywhere else in your overlay. So that's why this one is good, because it's predominantly blue. That tiny bit of yellow shouldn't really be noticeable if it's missing. And because you're using solid colors, you shouldn't have to adjust these other settings very much. These adjust how basically picky the program is about getting rid of the yellow. So if we turned it up a lot, you don't really see any difference other than this little yellow line over here is now gone. You turn it way down, you can see this little yellow line coming back. So you just can mess with these scrolls until you get rid of the aspects that bug you. But if you look really closely, the more I've upped it, the more I've actually gotten rid of this Instagram logo. So if you want to use a color like yellow, your Instagram logo might suffer. You can use all black and white logos. Or I could have used green here, and green shouldn't have impacted any of my other elements on this source. So I'm going to leave Instagram alone and leave this tiny little yellow bar here, because people really won't notice that. And if anything, it gives a nice framing aspect that I've actually come to like. And so now you see my face has appeared because I have my webcam set up to show up behind this overlay. And now that we are filtering out the yellow color from the overlay, you can actually see me, and the same will work for your game here instead of the endless scrolling. And so that's really basic. That's how you're going to add your graphics to OBS. So when you have a all-inclusive overlay like this, it's very easy because you can add one and filter everything out. But say if I wanted to add more things, it's the exact same process. So I would add an image, and one of my images is a little overlay that shows followers and subscribers. And so I can add that, move it wherever I want, drag to resize, and don't forget about the beauty of alt cropping. So how that works is I hold down Alt, and I click one of these bubbles, and I can completely cut out the subscriber section if I don't want to show subscribers here. Or if somebody has followed with an inappropriate name, I can cut out the follower section if I need to. So alt cropping, we've mentioned it before, but I just wanted to remind you guys, it is a very, very powerful tool. Now, one of the really cool things, as you can see on my screen, is I switched to a different overlay. And so if I want to ever change my overlay, because I have it in the exact same proportions every single time, I can head into Properties, and I can hit Browse, and I can change the image that I'm using. So if I don't want to use this one anymore and I want to go back to my pretty fall images, I can pick my fall overlay. And voila, now we are surrounded by pretty leaves. And so that makes it really, really nice and easy for me, because not only are the graphics very easy and fast to make in my other program, they're also incredibly easy to just swap out in OBS. I don't have to do any resizing. I don't have to move any of my sources around. Everything is already where it's supposed to be. Now you'll notice that I turned off the yellow filter here. So if I turn the filter on and off, the leaves get a little see-through because there is yellow in this image. And so this is the kind of image where you would definitely want to use something like maybe a green to filter this out. And again, if you are good with, or even basic knowledge of photo editing programs can be a very easy way to just remove backgrounds like that and create a transparent image on your own with an extra step. But if you don't know how to do that, OBS can do it for you. And there are all the basics of how to add your overlay graphics to your stream. In this lecture, I'm going to take you guys through some of the more advanced OBS settings that'll help with your stream aesthetic and expand your options for what you want to do with graphics to help design what you want your stream to look like. And so you may have noticed I have a little something different going on this time. This is just, it's a chair green screen. So there's just a wire frame in it, and it attaches right to your chair, and it lets you do some really, really easy green screening without having to set up complicated frames and everything. And so this is going to be really similar to the previous lecture when we color keyed out part of the graphics. We're going to kind of do the same thing here, but with the webcam. So I'm going to click on my C920 source, which is my webcam, and go to filters. And the effect filter that we want to add a color key. So we're going to call this green 1. A lot of times you need multiples of these to really get good green screening, and it also depends on your lighting. So I have very bright lights on right now, which are actually shining on this a little bit much, which might make it a little harder to color key. But if you have really, really even lighting, then the whole green screen will be the same color, and you may only have to key it out once, but we'll see what happens. So our key color type is green, but we're going to pick a custom color again and pick it from the screen. And so now you see that we have partially keyed out some of the color here, but we haven't gotten all of it. And so now we're going to add another color key, green 2. And we select a custom color again. And now one of the things you can do is you can up the similarity on these, not too much, otherwise you get really creepy looking. But it will help make sure that you're getting the full background effects, and just kind of watch your face and make sure you're not cutting out anything weird. And then keep adding color keys until you've fully removed your background. Turn up the similarity there. And my background should be fairly well removed at this point. And so now you can see my background is gone. And this is a little weird because of the screen capture right now, and you should definitely fuss with it more because you can see parts of me seeing through at the moment. But the next thing you want to do, because this circle, which you can now see is kind of the gray aspects because of the screen capture, is cutting in. So this is where we want to use our alt cropping again. So we want to crop this in closely and remove any signs that there's an apartment behind me. And voila, now it is just me sitting in a chair, a partially see-through chair. But like I said, that's okay. That really depends on your lighting setup. This is something you should spend more than 30 seconds on for sure. And if you have green eyes, sometimes they get a little weird. And you'll notice that when I move around, the lighting changes, which means the color key changes a little bit over here. So you should do some movement and play with shadows and make sure that you remove all of the green aspects of this if you want really good green screening. And that's really up to you. Green screening can kind of be a pain because your lighting has to be good. You can't wear green. You want to eliminate all shadows. But it really can create a really cool aesthetic, and you can put yourself on a beach in Hawaii or skiing in the Alps or whatever kind of background you want. It gives you a lot of different themed options for your stream. So green screening is really one of the great tools that OBS does that I think just gives you a lot of options just for stream aesthetic and making things look cool and making use of neat overlays. And then the other advanced filter I want to talk about are some of the actual microphone settings. So you can do the same thing and click on the little gear symbol next to your microphone and go to filters. And I have two filters. I have noise suppression, and I have a gain if I need to. And so noise suppression will help remove background noise. And this is something you should play with by changing the levels, recording yourself briefly, and seeing what it sounds like. If you suppress too high, then your voice won't really sound good anymore because you'll lose certain elements of it. And if you suppress too low, then when your air conditioning kicks on or the train goes by my apartment, people hear it. And so this is the same way. You say add, you can add a compressor. Gain will increase the volume on your microphone. You can add a noise gate so that it only picks up audio over a certain level. I would caution about using noise gate because it can make you clip a little where people won't catch your first word or your last word because you're not quite loud enough yet. So that's up to how you function. But these can be really nice tools to kind of just take your audio to the next level. And so I would recommend that you play around with these things and think about incorporating them into your stream aesthetic later on when you get to the activity portion of designing your graphics. Now for the last lecture in this section, I'm going to walk you guys through some of the other graphics you need in addition to just your overlays. So the first things that you should consider are some extra screens that you should add to OBS. So before you go live, a lot of times it's recommended to stream for just a few minutes, maybe the length of one song, just letting people know that you will be live, giving your viewers a chance to get there so they don't miss your opening greeting and any announcements you have at the start of the stream. And so this is an example of a really simple "will be live soon" screen that I made for a friend of mine, where just, again, the basic, you have a little bit of social media showing, and then he really likes bears. So he's got a bear, and it just says he'll be live soon. And so this static image will just be streaming on the screen for a few minutes, waiting for people to gather. So this is one screen you should think about making. And this is where you can really think about your brand. What image do you want to associate with yourself? Do you have a logo designed? What do you want to advertise? Do you have merchandise? Do you have other websites? For myself as a cosplayer, I actually just have a scrolling slideshow of different cosplay pictures. And so you can decide what your brand is and what your image, and do that for your Will Be Live screen. Because people will be staring at that for a few minutes. And so think of it as kind of advertising for yourself in addition to the stream. Now, the other screen is your Be Right Back screen. So if you have to get up and eat something, if you have to go answer the door, if someone calls you, there are times when you are streaming when you will not be sitting at your computer. Now, it's okay to get up and just have kind of a chair sitting there. People are going to assume that you're away. But doing something like a BRB screen lets them know that, okay, they got up, they're planning on coming back, there's no crisis, this will all be okay. This is a very basic BRB screen, but you can do things like, say you want to show people your camera view that you're not there, but so that they'll know when you're back. So you can put in a little box, maybe like you would for the other overlays we talked about. And this can show the game that you're in. This can show your camera. This can show, again, advertisements, whatever you want it to show. You can build out your BRB screen a little more, or you can leave it really simple and clean. That's up to you and your aesthetic. And then the last screen, when you end your stream, when you're saying goodbye to everyone, you don't want to hit the end stream button right away. First of all, that usually cuts off the last 10 to 30 seconds of what you're saying because OBS is no longer broadcasting to Twitch, and Twitch has a slight delay, so people will miss you saying goodbye. But also, if someone has gotten up to get a glass of water or stepped away, and they come back and your stream's just over, it's not the best feeling. It's much nicer and gentler sign-off if you transition to a thanks for watching screen. You thank your viewers for hanging out, all the people who have followed you, etc. You have another chance to show off your social media and advertise whatever things you want to advertise here. And so these are the three basic screens that you should make in addition to whatever overlays you decide on. It'd be live soon, a BRB, and a thank you for watching. And again, these are great places to establish your branding, figure out what you want your graphic aesthetic to be. Do you want it to be clean? Do you want it to be crazy? Do you want to use your logo? What colors do you want? All of these questions to help decide how you want it to come together. And don't be afraid to change things up and experiment, especially if you're new to streaming. If you change your branding a couple of times before you've made a big established name, etc., it gives you the chance to experiment before consistent branding is as important. But once you find something that works for you, really stick with it. And so the second graphics that you've probably seen here over on the side, anytime you go to a Twitch stream and you look under it, you can see all these awesome panels with all of this information about the stream. So mine are a little wordy and messy, but these are a lot of questions that people ask all the time, and I found that this is just the information I want to have with my stream. So this works for me. Some people's streams, especially really, really big streamers, you'll see that they really just have the panels and they don't have a lot of other text. So that's something you can play around with and change as your stream grows. But the important thing are these banners. So if you want to edit your panels, you can just click right here, Edit Panels, and you can change the images that are here. And so this is how you actually add banners and text to your stream page. But first, you'll need to actually make the banners. Once you do, it's as simple as uploading an image here and then choosing to add or not add text below. And then you can also link the images. So this one links to my website. My subscribe banner links to the direct subscribe link for people to sub. Donation links to my Twitch alerts. And yes, a general image here just links to my Instagram. So if people click the panels, they will get taken in another tab. So your stream will stay open to whatever you want the panel to link to. But first, you have to design those panels. So just like my graphics overlays, I have a very set system for how I do my panels. I always keep them the same, and then I change them based on whatever my theme is. And so this was around the holidays. I did blue and white. I show all of my emotes. I like that. A lot of channels, you don't actually know what emotes you're getting unless you do a little bit of research. So I like to show them here for people. And then I just have a few set banners that I always put up. So I link people out to my cosplays. My stream points rewards are called crystals. I have a FAQ for obviously all the questions that people frequently ask. A link for people to donate, a way to see what my schedule is. And then I just always use these banners over and over again. And what I can do is I can just change the background and change just the box color here to match whatever I want it to match. And I get customizable panels that have the same theme all the time so that things don't change too much and I maintain a brand identity, but I can still change to be fun, whether it's Easter time, springtime, if I want Mardi Gras. I think this was just New Year's. And again, it's all in Google Slides and it's very easy, and you can just file, download your current slide as an image, and you have your banners set and ready to go. Now for these ones, if you know any kind of image editing, you can just crop them down to their individual image. You can also use the alt cropping that I showed you in OBS. And honestly, what I do that's really easy is I use a screenshot tool. I take a screenshot, I right click, and I save my image. And that's a really easy way to do it. Like I said, depending on your graphic design background, or if that's something you choose to learn more about, you can do a lot of things with your graphics. But the most important thing is to just find a style that you like, information that you want to share that's relevant to your stream, and just make sure that those graphics are consistent, on track with your branding, and all go together. And this is where, again, think about your BRB, your live, your thanks for watching, in addition to your banners, in addition to all of your different overlays, and use that to design a really great stream aesthetic and build the stream that you want to. Now that I've shown you the basics of designing your graphics and which different graphics you'll need for your stream, as well as some of the tools for incorporating them into OBS, it's time for you to start setting up your stream aesthetic. So download the overlay worksheet attached to this lecture. Now the first thing you're going to do is find 4 streamers with overlays that you like. Then find 2 to 3 things that all of these different overlays have in common. Decide which of those elements you want to incorporate into your stream, and then figure out what else is missing and what else you want to incorporate into your own stream. And then after that, draw an outline of how you want to set up your stream. So think back to those overlays that I showed you. Figure out where you want to put your camera placement, where you want your social media, and where you want other elements of your graphics and stream design to fit in. Draw it all out, and you're at the first step to putting your stream graphics together.
So in this section, I've decided to hilariously name Twitch bots inform and roll out. Imagine my surprise, but we're going to be talking about Twitch bots, how they're going to improve your channel, what the different choices are for the main bots that are available out there, and we're also going to look at some of the extensions that complement what those bots can do for your channel, some of the better things you can have in for commands on those bots to reflect the information that you've got available, and to find some individual extensions as well that are really going to boost what you provide to your users as far as visibility of information is concerned, some game specific bits and pieces as well, and different bits like that. And then at the end of it, we're going to be taking a look at what bot you're going to choose to run in your channel, as well as a couple of extensions that you feel are really going to provide some benefit to your channel and to actually add a bit of extra value to what you're doing as well. So let's get going. So let's take a look at one of the first choices here. So we've got Moobot. If you navigate to twitch.moobot.tv, you'll be able to find Moobot here. You've got some basic information on the front page of the website of some of the things that the bot includes, but we'll get going by just connecting up the account. Now I'm going to use the account that I don't use to stream with here, because I'm already logged in with that account. It's just already slapped itself together and popped it on. So we've got a guided tour here, and I do recommend that you take a run through on the guided tour as well. It is worthwhile taking a look through there. For the purposes of this, we're going to skip through that though, because we already know what we're doing here. One of the first things that you would need to do is to create a moderator role for Moobot in the channel, which you can easily do by saying /mod Moobot in the channel, and that will create the moderation status for Moobot, which would allow it to do the various functions that you're going to allow it to do. You haven't added it into the channel yet as well, so you've got the helpful notifications here that allow you to do different bits and pieces. Also, to activate Moobot, you would then have to do Moobot moderate as well as another command onto the chat as well, which is nice and easy. It can take a little bit of time, but you will get it to pick up eventually. So you get Moobot to join your channel, quite nice and easy. Just push join, happy days. There you go, it's already been granted moderator status, and you've got kind of an event log there that will explain everything. All super nice and easy. Very, very handy there. So you've got different options along the top here that give you different options for what you want to set up in the bot. Now, you can do all of this through commands if you wanted to. You could just type things into the chat that would allow you to do different bits and pieces to set up, say, commands and so forth on your bot. But for the purpose of this, we're going to go through the UI that we've got available here. So commands, we've got a command list here where we can just set different bits and pieces up. We've got 25 slots for free because Moobot is for free for sort of a base level. And if you really want to do some more advanced things with Moobot, then you can actually pay to unlock it. But you can simply make a command like, I don't know, hello, exclamation hello, let's say, for example. We've made that as a command, and then you can make it say whatever it is, whatever you want to do. You've got some advanced settings to be able to put it on a timer, certain sets of users that will be able to use it, certain times that you would be able to let that command run. There's a lot of different options there to really kind of pare down exactly what you want. So if we save that in there and then go back to our chat, you can just type exclam hello and Moobot will spit out memes into your chat. So you've got different options like that. If you want to set up commands to perhaps share some information about your social media, exclamation Twitter, and it shares your Twitter link, for example. You've got the ability to do that there. Very useful for sharing bits of information. A lot of people do like their Discord command, different bits and pieces like that. So you've got some spam filters as well. So you've got some sort of general rules, like blanket rules that you can put across. Extra caps, certain banned words, like offensive terms and so forth. People are spamming emotes or pretending that their message has been deleted. You've got kind of like a crap cleaner here, I suppose. So Twitch means like copy pasters and stuff like that. You've got stuff like that that you can make Moobot automatically remove. Pretty handy. You can set your blacklisted phrases. You can set links that won't get timed out even if you have link protection on in your chat. There's a lot of different rules like that as well in there. You can add regulars to a list, so that would be people that were exempt from the Moobot's rules. So let's say you've got your link filter on that prevents people from posting links in chat. If they're added as a regular, you can make those users exempt from being timed out or banned or whatever else for running those links in chat, which is pretty handy, I'm not going to lie, because it means that you can use that role instead of trying to mod everyone to be able to get around different filters and so forth. You can make additional editors so people can make changes to the bot on your behalf if that's something that you would want to allow as well. And it's just a nice, useful bot. You've got extra bits here as well. Like a list of emotes and stuff like that if you really wanted to. But that's kind of the main bulk of what Moobot can do for you. It can do extra bits and pieces as well, like song requests and stuff like that. But, I mean, that's something that you can probably investigate and find for yourself. Again, I recommend taking the guided tour here, as it will show you all of the little bits and pieces and all the extra bits of information that you may need. But Moobot is a really solid choice. It's free for the majority of the actions that you can carry out with it. So there's no real reason not to take a look and give it a try. And see if it suits what you need it to do for your channel. So now we're taking a look at Nightbot. It's actually quite similar to MooBot in the way that it functions, but it has a couple of its own features and some of its own sort of perks, I suppose. Plus a difference with the UI as well on how that handles. And you can find it by going to nightbot.tv or beta.nightbot.tv is actually this sort of beta site, which is all very nice and shiny here. Obviously, you've got, again, some basic information on the front page here of different things that it can do, some additional features that it has, the advanced features and all that sort of jazz. But what we're going to do, we're just going to log in and get ourselves rolling. You can use it on YouTube as well if that was something you were so inclined to do, but we're going to log in with Twitch because we're here to talk about Twitch. That's me. I'm going to authorize Nightbot for you. So we'll let that go through. And this is your main dashboard. So first and foremost, you'll want it to join the channel, otherwise, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. And again, we'll have to mod Nightbot in the chat, which we can do in a little bit. So this screen will actually show you some statistics about how busy your chat has been, what events you've had, or we'll eventually have that rather. Timeouts that you've done in your chat, top chatters, different bits of information that can actually be a little bit useful for just kind of capturing how well your channel's performing. So we can set some custom commands here, much in the same way as you could with MooBot. Simply hit the add command, exclamation hi, memes, again, we can throw that in there, how often it can be sent, whether you want this to use a different command as well. So quite often, like, people have a shout out command. Now that can be exclamation, shout out, SO, caster. It can be loads of different things. So you can create different variations of the same command that just kind of refer to each other. It makes it sort of more universal for people to be able to use different commands. And you can set your user level to just how many people are able to use that command. Sometimes you don't want people spamming away, and there you go, we've got a command there. So if we were to type exclamation hi in the chat now, we would get memes spit out. Nice and easy. And obviously you have default commands already in place there as well. You can run giveaways natively here, something that MooBot can also do as well. But you've got your different settings for being able to do that. If you want to give subscribers more extra luck to win or whatever else that you want to do there, nice and easy. You can just click a button, roll the winner, happy days, nice and easy. You've got logs for different things that you've done in the channel, timeouts, user messages, that sort of jazz. You can set the regular status much in the same way as you could with MooBot, which again, can make certain people exempt from certain rules that you have running in your channel. You've got your song requests here, so you can do two things. You can help it build a playlist, which would be done through the song requests, or you can do something called Auto DJ, which just makes you a playlist and runs directly through, which is quite nice. It's all royalty-free music. So it's all entirely safe to have on your stream, and it'll just keep playing music away for you, almost like a radio station. And yeah, it's pretty nice. It's good to have a bit of music on in the background to break things up, and it's nice to have safe music that's not going to get your videos muted and so forth. Monstercat being quite a well-known provider of royalty-free music. Spam protection, quite simple. Again, the same with MooBot, so preventing people from doing loads of caps or links or really distasteful words in your chat. And again, you can edit all of these individually to exempt different people, so you can make sure that these are only active for the people that you don't want doing those actions. So you might only care about links for normal users, but anyone else, you're absolutely fine with them posting links, for example. Timers is like the commands, but they just regularly post throughout your channel. So you can put, every 30 minutes or, every 30 minutes, remind people to go and check out, like they've got the example here, go take a look at my YouTube, how many chat lines need to have occurred before they'll do that. And again, you've got your aliases there, like we spoke about earlier. Nice and easy, separated out from the command list, but no different, again, from the way that MooBot handles them. And you've got different integrations. If you wanted to pull this bot into different places, you can do so there as well. So Nightbot, again, is a very good free option. It's very, very good for basic bot usage. It's nothing terribly complex. It's not anything terribly difficult to get to grips with, but it will equally do the tasks that you need it to do. You know, the moderation, automated moderation, I suppose, really. It will be able to do that for you, which is quite nice. It's not the most advanced thing in the world. You may find that you outgrow it in time, but if you're just getting started, it's certainly a good option for you. And as you can see here, very straightforward to get everything set up and running in almost no time flat. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Streamlabs bot now, which originally was UnkBot before Streamlabs kind of rolled it up into their service. So you may have seen Streamlabs other points during this course because we talk about using it for your alerts and whatever else as well. So one of the things that they've rolled in with the alerts and the donations and the OBS version that they have out as well, which you can see at the top here, they've also got a bot as well. So they're kind of like a one-size-fits-all solution, or covers all of those bases for you, which is pretty neat. But what we're interested in today is the chatbot, which you can find under Community and Growth on the left-hand side here. So if we click into here, now this is a little bit more complex than the other chatbots that are available. You can see the different bits and pieces that are available here, the different things that it can do as compared to the different platforms and how those differentiate. You've got tons of documentation here, which we're not going to sit there and go through. But we actually need to download something. So this would be something that runs locally on your PC to be able to do all of the different actions in your channel. Now that's a little bit of a stretch beyond what you would normally do with Nightbot or MooBot and that sort of jazz. Now that's going to be a little bit more involved. Obviously you're actually going to have to go through an installation process here, which is pretty typical, but we're just going to put that into place, and then we're actually going to come back to you in a moment to show you the bits and pieces after you've kind of signed into it, because obviously we don't quite want to be sharing our stream keys with each other. As much as I'm sure I trust you guys, I don't trust you guys quite that far. Okay, so coming back to this now, all we've done here is open the program to run the bot. We've logged in with my username, so the actual channel itself, and also the bot account. So you will want to make a separate Twitch account to be used as your bot, and then we've just given Streamlabs permission to run. And then you're introduced to a bunch of options here. Whether you wanted to just connect to your channel straight away. There's a lot of different bits and pieces that are here. So if you want to use currency in your channel, which is quite a popular way of getting more users involved with your content, you can use that for giveaways and different things like that as well. You've got mod tools that you can just have triggered on straight away, have those working almost instantly. If you wanted to have all of that information put into place there. And you've also got the ability to play around with your chat as well, which will be displayed within the bot. And here we go, that's it. We're all ready to roll. So we'll just let this open for a second, because it will take a little while to connect. So what I've done here, because I don't use this on my own channel, because I don't use that channel, I've just connected the bot to my account, so it's on the same account as the username, which you wouldn't necessarily do. So you've got your dashboard here, which will allow you to edit all of your Twitch settings. The title, whether you want it to host various different people. So in each occasion, you're going to have a little cog in the top right hand corner that will give you sort of expanded options to be available for your bot, which is quite nice and useful. You can run commercials if you're a partnered channel. That you would have options to do so there. If not, you will not. You can see what subscribers you have, which is just a nice little bit of extra information there, and sort of breakdown of the information there, which is actually slightly better than it is on Twitch, funnily enough. Again, setting up your commands much in the same way as you would do on Moobot or Nightbot. You can just add a new one here, set the name of it. If it costs any of the currency that you use on your channel, which is a little bit different, who can use that. So you've got like a lot more different options there because of the different ties in. If you've got a subscriber, GameGuist subscriber, certain users, there's more kind of functionality built into there. The breakdown of information there as well, and what you want it to do. You can even run a sound file as well to kind of announce someone's presence in the channel if you wanted to, or create a reaction to a situation. You've got your timed commands here, again, much in the same way as it was previously as well. They're just commands that run on a timer, nice and easy. You've got a quote system here, so people can create sort of memorable moments by doing exclamation, quote, and then the contents of whatever it is that you've said that was so funny or useful or interesting that you want it to be recorded for posterity forevermore. And you've got some extra quotes here as well. Giveaways, again, much in the same way as Moobot or Nightbot would run them through. You can let people buy tickets into a raffle, or whatever, using a command raffle rather. And much the same way, you would use a user list here to open the giveaway, and then you pick your winner and reset entries and so forth. Quite nice and straightforward. You've got your song requests in here as well, which would run through YouTube. Or Spotify as well, if you link in your Spotify account alongside it. People can make song requests in the chat to create a little playlist through here as well. You can pile in a bunch of sound files, which again you would use for triggering off with the commands that we had up there. This is kind of your repository, and you would just search through your PC to add them into place. You've got queues, so the queues would be used for, let's say you're playing Fortnite, for example, and you want people to be able to play with you. You would be able to just queue them up, so they're in an order for when they get the chance to play with you on the channel, for example, which is pretty useful. A very easy to use death tool, or I mean that's mostly what it's going to be used for. How many times you've died in a game, or perhaps if you wanted to track your wins in a game, you would be able to do that, and you would be able to set the different styling that you've got on there, and be able to just easily sort of track that upwards to keep track of that as well. You can mess around with your currency here as well if you wanted to do so. You can add extra points onto people as well. Add users to it, and then add additional points into there. When you've got users on here, you would be able to just click into them and then award additional points to them there. You've got a simple user list here just to be able to keep track of what interactions people have had with your channel. And here's where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, I would say. So you've got stuff like mini games. So people can use that currency that we were talking about earlier to play around with different games that you have in your channel. So heists are like people are robbing a imaginary place. And you've got like some more advanced options here to play around with as well if you wanted to kind of give a swing to the chances that people have of winning this event. You've got duels where people can fight each other to see who wins. Free for all is like everyone all fights each other, and one person will win, like kind of a tournament thing, again, for certain amounts of coins. And then boss battles, you can have like a bunch of bosses that pop up throughout your stream that people can fight, and it just adds like extra interaction within your chat. which is pretty neat. It's good fun. You can run a poll, so a lot of people use straw polls to keep track of, I don't know, what game you're going to play next, for example. Well, you can just do that natively in the bot, and people can just vote using a command in the chat, which is pretty cool. Betting, so, you know, what position am I going to win at PUBG at? You know, am I going to come first? Am I going to come 15th, whatever it is? And you can award points for how close people get for that, which is pretty neat. So events are sound files that you can have play when certain people join the channel, or you know, do certain things. So if they just speak in the channel or just join the channel, you've got the option to go between the two. And again, using that repository that we had before, you can choose that sound file to play when they come in, which is just a nice way of recognizing some of your more loyal members of the channel, I suppose. Your mod tools here as well, which was the thing that we saw at the start. You can kind of mess around with them a little bit more granularly here as well. So certain banned words, prevention of links, prevention of symbol spamming, and prevention of cap spamming, which is all pretty much regular functionality that you would have across multiple different bots. So obviously you can see here this is a lot more involved. There are a lot more options. There's a lot more functionality built into this bot. The only sort of caveat for it is the fact that you would have to download this client and have this client running on your PC when you wanted the bot running on your PC as well. So this will use a little bit of resource. It will require you to, you know, remember to have it running all the time, but it's not too huge an ask, I feel. But obviously if you're on a sort of super limited PC, then it may be a bit of a hassle to have this running for yourself. But really, with all of the extra tools that you've got here, with all of the tie-in that this has with different services and with Streamlabs as an alert service as well, this really is the winner for me out of the ones that we've shown you so far. There's just so much here. There's so much extra usability. There's so many things that you might not use now, but you might use in the future that you have at your fingertips. You can just switch on that functionality whenever you want, or switch it back off again. You've got the choice there. So this one is definitely worth delving into. It's definitely worth playing around with to see how you can customize it to exactly how you want your channel to be run, to how you want your users to be rewarded, to how you want to sort of prompt them to interact with your channel more. You've just got so much option here. So it's free, like completely free, and it ties into what I would imagine is probably going to be the best choice for you as far as alerts are concerned, and quite possibly as far as streaming software is even concerned as well. It makes sense to keep all of those things in the same place, on the same platform, and it just makes things all nice and easy for you. So for my vote, I would go with the Streamlabs chatbot, but take a look at the different ones that you've got available and decide on which one suits your needs the most. So, as a little introduction here, we're going to be talking about extensions. So, extensions are extra little bits of functionality that you can add to your stream that provide little extra features or perhaps insight into the way that you do things. So, you've got two different types of extensions primarily. You've got one that's like an overlay. It's something that will pop up over the actual stream video itself. So, you may have, I don't know, certain pictures or images or text or something that appears on the screen. You may have like a little widget on that screen as well. And the other type is some will just fit into the bio beneath the video, which will be almost like a little panel, but a more stylish panel and a more functional panel that will provide sort of additional information, perhaps a mini game of some description, stats about your stream, stats about the game that you're playing. There's a bundle of different options there. So we're going to go through some of the more common ones, some of the more sort of almost important ones. They're pretty useful. They're pretty neat, and there's some that are sort of almost universally useful, and there are some that are very super specific. It is worth keeping in mind that the overlay type, the ones that go over the video, you can only ever have one of those active at a time, so only the one. So it's a bit of a difficult decision sometimes to decide which one you would rather have playing as opposed to another one. But you know, a lot of people tend to settle on the same ones, and it's with good reason. They tend to provide the most functionality and the most worth channel. And then there'll be a whole bunch of different panel ones that are definitely worthwhile having put in place for your channel as well. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the more useful and the more important ones, and we'll get going and see what works for you best. So the next section that we're going to be looking at here is the Gear on Amazon extension. So as you can see, there's a hell of a lot of different extensions on here. I could keep scrolling for days, but the main one we're going to take a look at for the moment is the Gear on Amazon one. So if we go to configure this, now I've already set this up and it's already linked to my main streaming account. So you will go through a process here to start off with, where you will create an account that is linked to Amazon, and then you will link it with your Twitch account, and then that will allow you to begin receiving revenue from Amazon to demonstrate the gear you use on Twitch, or as part of your streaming setup at the very least. Now, this is only available to affiliates and partners, so if you're not quite there yet, this is just one to keep in mind for the future. But you've got this somewhere down the line, and more than anything, you get the question asked quite a lot of, you know, what stuff do you use on your setup? You know, what keyboard have you got? What case do you use for your PC? You know, whatever it is. And this is a great way just to answer all those questions in one fell swoop, as much as anything else, as well as you know, giving yourself the option to earn a bit of money. So if we wanted to add a new piece of equipment into this list, so as you can see, I've already set up, this is basically my setup right here, like all of the stuff is listed down here. This is how the panel would appear in the stream. This is all the stuff that I physically use. I'm recording on this laptop as we speak, off of a PC that has all of the other equipment that you see listed below. Now, just to add more gear, you can just hit this button here, which will give you a search prompt for Amazon. So let's say, for example, we have got a new Acer monitor that we've just bought, and it's this one here, for example. It's just a nice 1080 display, $130, not bad either, right? Add that to your list, and there it is at the bottom of the list. Job done. So once you've added your list together, you save it as a draft, which will kind of update this list, update this panel, right, to make it ready to roll. And then you would publish to live, and then that would make it part of this live listing on your profile. You've got that listed there, so you can see like the actual monitor I have is listed here, and that's a new one that we just popped onto the bottom here, as you can see. And it's just a nice and easy way of providing a view of everything that you have as your setup. Because, as I say, it's a very common question. And honestly, if you're making recommendations around devices that you should use or different bits of hardware that you should use, really you should be making a bit of money off the back of it as well, right? Like, it would make sense. It's all going to be passed through to Amazon anyway for the part, so you may as well. You've also got the option as well to switch between a light and dark theme. Let's be honest, everyone prefers a dark theme unless you're a heathen. But we've got the option there at the very least. Obviously, you can name your list as well. So I'm just one of the people that stream on the channel. So I've named this Squall Muzzer Setup because I am Squall Muzzer, believe it or not. And you've got options to update your tax and payment information there, which I'm not going to show you at the moment because I don't particularly want to share that with all and sundry on the internet as well. So, it's a quick whirlwind tour of this little extension right here, but this will appear in your bio if you choose to add it there as well. So you would hit activate here, add as a new panel. So you've got extension panel number 2. So that will now be live if I go over onto the Zenchudo channel and then scroll down a bit. Where are we? And as you can see, it just took a little while after a refresh for it to come through onto the channel. And there you go, we've got all of the equipment down there, so you can scroll merrily away and demonstrate all of that on the channel. And happy days. You've now got the ability to show off all of your gear that you use and provide people a way to purchase it direct from Amazon. Now, another thing that we've talked about is the importance of scheduling. So, ensuring that you have got an active schedule for your channel, making sure that, people know when they can find you and all that sort of jazz. Now, we've got an extension here, or a few extensions for that matter, actually, that can really help you demonstrate it and display it on your stream in a useful way. There's a few different options. Layer 1 provides one. We're going to take a look at the Streamlabs one for the meanwhile. So if we go into the little settings cog here, because I've already added it to the channel, we can add in all of these different options of times that we do live streams for the days of the week. So let's just say we're going to stream on Sunday, right? We only stream on Sundays because that's just how we roll. We can set a sort of highlight color here if we really wanted to, which you'll see in a minute. You'll see what that applies to. We say what time zone we're in. So I'm in GMT, so I'm going to choose GMT there. So we're going to add a slot into here, and we'll say that's fine. We'll say that we stream at 12 midday on Sundays, and that's when we stream. We forever stream at that time slot. So that's done. We've saved that already, and that is honestly as easy as it is. Now all we need to do is again activate this and add it as a new panel onto our bio. So we'll do that. That's added now as extension panel 3. Now you do have to wait a few seconds just for it to kind of work its way through the system. So we'll just give that a second to file through before going across onto here. We'll give it a quick refresh just to become at the channel in hopes that we get it to ping through for the preference of time. There we go. So we've got our live stream coming in 22 hours from now. And this is just a really nice displayed way of, when your streams are going to be. The countdown, I feel, is super, super useful as well, because it really does kind of provide a more accurate time that you're going to be streaming, because this is universal, right? Like, this is for you to know exactly when this is going to happen. It's not going to be... because this actually has accounted for the fact... so this was recorded just before we had our time change, when the clocks change. So this is actually saying 1 PM my time, because by the time that this stream occurs, it will have changed, which is pretty neat. But yeah, so it just gives you an accurate, regardless of time zone, display of exactly when you're going to live next. And it's very neatly displayed below your channel. Obviously, you can move all of these around as much as you like across all of the different panel locations. At the moment, it looks a bit janky with all of these sort of lobbed on at the end and whatever else. And you can shuffle them about to your heart's content. You've got a little toggle here called Edit Panels. And you can just zip these boys about as much as you like and move them around, which is quite nice and handy. But yeah, just a really useful little widget to have in there to, as I say, show people when you're going to be going live, and to make sure that people are always aware of your schedule, rather than using something natty like this, which we haven't even bothered updating for quite a while now. It's just a scrappy little thing here. You can use something that looks a lot more elegant, a lot nicer like this. Now, when I was talking about the Streamlabs bot earlier on, one of the things that I didn't mention as well were the extensions that come with Streamlabs as well. So a really cool one that we have is called, it's a Streamlabs overlay. Now, what that is kind of a little button that appears on your screen, on your video screen, should I say, on the viewer end. And it'll provide various different interactions and bits and pieces like that, which are all kind of built into the bot as well. So there's some sort of cross-referencing over as well. So we would need to complete the setup here and link it all together with the bot, which we're not going to take the time to do. But that's how you would go through the process there. It would come up as an option there and let you link everything together with your previous extension stuff. But you've got all of these things turned on here. That you can turn off, turn on, whatever you want to do to have these running on your channel. So the polls and giveaways, if you wanted to, give certain prizes away, if you wanted to do so, using the currency on your channel. You've got little mini games, which are just fun little things that people can use to gamble the channel currency. You can have these little chests pop up over the screen. Now, the nice thing about these chests is they kind of encourage people to interact with your video, and therefore they're paying attention to what you're doing to earn more of the currency on your channel. Now, it seems such a silly thing, but it really does kind of help people to re-engage. They see one of these pop up in a little puff of smoke, and then they go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to click on that, and then suddenly what you're saying kind of comes back into focus if they were perhaps lurking before and tabbed out onto another monitor or something like that. It kind of brings them back in. which is pretty slick. So you've got to use on your screen. So you can run polls and giveaways and whatever else like that, and they're just fun little extra bits and pieces that you can use on your channel just to keep people engaged with the content that you're making and to sort of pull them back in. It's a pretty neat thing to have in place. It's very easy to set up, and then it just appears as a floating button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. And yeah, that's it. It's as simple as that to put it on there. You just simply need to activate it as your extension overlay. Bump, done. That's it. It is now going to appear on your screen. Now, unfortunately, because my channel is hosting somewhere else, I can't show you it in action, but you've probably seen this little button floating in the bottom right hand corner of a lot of channels already. It will appear as a sort of little rectangular grey thing with the channel's logo on it typically. And yeah, that's it. It's all put into place right now. If I was to go live right now, this little box would be floating away there, and you'd be able to take part in any of the activities that we just took a look at there. So yeah, pretty cool. A useful engagement tool for your stream, and a useful way of tying in with your bot as well, and with your alerts and with everything else that Streamlabs can provide for you. So it comes strongly recommended if you wanted to have something on your overlay on your video and you don't have something there already. So to round out the extensions portion of this course, there are other extensions available. I mean, as well, you can see if you go to twitch.tv/your username/dashboard and then locate the extensions part down the side here, you'll be able to run through a hell of a lot of different extensions that you can add onto there. So for example, you've got extra bits. If you play specific games, for example, you've got one for Hearthstone here. Now, this is a fantastic overlay for your stream where if anyone hovers over a card that's in your hand, you can see like a zoomed in version of that card, and you can see all of the stats on it, the flavor text, different bits and pieces like that. And you'll find that there's probably an extension for more or less every single game that's quite popular. So you've got some statistics for League of Legends here. You'll find like World of Warcraft, you might get stats around the character you're playing, or the general loot that's available in there. You can see stats for PUBG and Fortnite for like wins and losses and stuff like that as well, and that will get like live updated as an extension. Now, they're very much worth having. Just because they do add that extra bit of flavour, that little bit of extra background information for your channel. So especially if you are focusing more on individual games, you've got some really, really useful information there that people, do care about. They want to know just how good you are, just how much of an expert you are in that game, maybe how you're improving in playing that game. So you've got Dota 2 there as well. There's another Hearthstone one. There's so many. Path of Exile as well, if you want to take a closer look at what gear people are using in Path of Exile as well. There's just so many options there. And all of that stuff really does, as I say, provide extra value to what you're doing on your channel. The more information that you can provide for people at a glance, the less time that you'll spend sort of fielding those same repetitive few questions over and over again. I don't know, why are you choosing that build in League of Legends, where if they can immediately see that you've got a 90% win rate using that build in League of Legends, then odds are that's kind of self-explanatory, right? You might have the ability to explain through some of your reasoning and how it works together and how it all kind of links in, but you've really got the ability to demonstrate a lot of that information at a glance, and that is kind of the aim of the game with extensions, if we're being entirely honest. So have a look through all of the different bits and pieces that you can add into your channel, because you'll find as you roll through here, you'll go, oh yeah, that's like really interesting information. Maybe you're a speedrunner and you want to show your best runs of the different games that you do. There you go, bam. You've got the ability to just show that in a nice and easy little panel in your bio, and you don't have to like list it all out manually and try and make kind of a vaguely okay looking layout for it on your stream and whatever else. You can just throw it into one of these panels and they'll look a lot nicer. They'll look sleek, they'll look sort of well produced, or kind of add a slightly more professional looking edge to your channel as well. So it just makes sense to do so, in my opinion. As I say, like if you just scroll through and scroll through and scroll through, you will just find something that suits your channel, something that will add an extra little edge onto your channel, rather than just kind of the same plain, boring, usual stuff. And if you scroll back up to the top, you can look for specific extensions by name. So if we wanted to do, like, I don't know, World of Warcraft, for example, all of these have that as some kind of proviso in that name, probably because it's picking up the of in there that is showing that. If I type Exile for Path of Exile, it's a better example there. It's just pulling up the Path of Exile specific extension. If I wanted Binding of Isaac, for example, you've got the Binding of Isaac item tracker there, which shows the items as you're picking them up, which is really, really cool, by the way. If you play Binding of Isaac, it's definitely one that you want on your profile, because there's so much variation in that game. So have a look through, have a play through. You can see that I've already got a few different ones there. Stream Legends is quite a fun one as well. It creates a little panel beneath your stream that is like a little mini game. So you and your community help build up almost like a little town that is specific to your stream, and you fight enemies and you gear up and whatever else, and it's actually kind of fun. And it's just a little extra thing that people can play around with to try and keep them in your channel for that little bit longer. So definitely dive in, definitely take a look, try to find some of the best bits and pieces that you can to just, as I say, give yourself that extra edge, to make yourself look a little bit slicker with the way that you've put your information out, and I'm certain that these extensions will really add value to your channel. So now that we've gone through all of the different extensions, the different bots that you can add into your channel, it's time for you to choose what ones that you really think are going to be suiting you best. So out of the ones that we've talked about, or even if you know of extra ones that you really have your eye on, track down which bot that you would like to use on your channel, get all of that set up, put into place all of your commands, put in there everything that you need to do to get that running. And then also take a look at one or two extensions that you're sure are going to bring value into your stream. and get those, again, all set up, all put into place, all loaded onto your channel so they're spick and span, they're looking ready to roll. And again, you can use some of the ones that we've spoken about so far already, or take a look through the listing of the extensions to see if you can find ones that suit you a little bit better for exactly what you're trying to do. I would heavily recommend the schedule one. Put that into place, make that nice and prominent so people can see it. So let's run through that. Let's grab that PDF that we're going to have attached to this section and put your bots and your extensions all into place so you're ready to roll and look as slick as humanly possible. So this section is going to be covering around streaming best practices. So we're going to be looking to go from 0 viewers up to a few viewers, and then from there to affiliateship, and then perhaps even further on looking to go down the road towards partnership with Twitch. We're going to be looking at consistency and scheduling as well with your content, so to ensure that you're really providing people reasons to come back over and over and over and over again. We're going to be looking at networking and growth, so ways to pull those extra people into your channel in the first place as well and really start to get them involved with your content. We're going to be looking to turn the numbers that you're getting, so the viewer numbers that you're going to be receiving, and turning them into a little bit of income for your channel as well, because whilst it shouldn't be your pure aim to be going for earnings, it should also be somewhat evident that you need to be looking to sort of cover some of your costs and the time spent and so forth. And then we're going to be looking at an activity to make the first steps to find viewers, to do some promotion, and to actually start providing a bit of a unique edge, providing people with a real reason to keep coming back time and time again. So this lecture is entitled Starting from the Bottom, and that's because everyone does start from 0 basically. So these are a few tips to kind of get you started, to get the ball rolling, to really start building up from 0 really. So my number one tip, the one thing that I recommend everyone does, no matter what their size really, is to keep talking. Now, it's really disheartening and it's really difficult not to like just go silent when the chat's silent as well. It's very easy to just strike up a conversation if someone else is having a conversation with you first. But what you should really be doing is just keeping a rolling commentary or a topic of debate. Even if you're just talking to yourself the whole way through, even if you're just narrating what you're doing. So, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to pick this thing up, I'm going to make sure I equip it in the right slot, and then I'm going to make sure that when I come around the left-hand door here, I'm going to be looking out for any enemies that I'm going to be approaching. Like, just keep up that discussion the whole way through, whatever you're doing, because when someone comes into your channel, there's a little bit of a time delay. So if you're completely silent for 20 seconds, those people are going to be inclined to click straight back out of your channel again. And that's it, they're gone. You may never see them again. You've lost your chance to make an impression with that person. Like, the first impression that you make on someone on Twitch may very well be their last impression of you. So make sure to make it count. Even when it's quiet, you never know when someone's going to come through that door, to coin a phrase from a popular program. Now, another thing that you really should be looking to do is to ask a friend to give you a hand with like your audio and visual stuff. So someone to sit in chat for the first 5-10 minutes of your cast or so, just to make sure that, you know, your audio isn't super loud, like your background music, for example, isn't drowning out your voice. Your video doesn't look really grainy, or it doesn't look distorted in some way, or maybe some of your stream elements are overlapping, for example. So quite a common issue is if someone has an overlay or some kind of alert that pops up, it might come up over, say, your health bar or your ammo counter in a game, for example. And a lot of people find that that's a little bit annoying, and that's something that someone in your chat is more likely to pick up than you are yourself trying to look at it in OBS and whatever else for a couple of seconds before you carry on doing your streaming. So it really does help to have someone else there to kind of give it a little bit of feedback at the start of your stream. And while you're there, you really should be looking to mod a couple of friends to start you off. Now, you might say that that's a little bit of a large ask to get someone to start dedicating a load of time to your channel out of nowhere when you're not pulling loads of viewers and so forth. But you'd be surprised just how kind and giving some people are on Twitch. And it's pretty important to have even a small mod team when you start out, because the last thing you want to do is, while you're in the flow of the game, whilst you're sitting there and you're starting to get on a kill streak, or you're in the last few tense rounds in PUBG or whatever else, so the last thing you need to do is tab out of the game so you can go and ban someone in your chat because they've started spewing racist nonsense or something. Now, that's the last thing that you really need to be stressing about at the time. So just knowing that there's someone there taking care of any bits and pieces like that, or you can just shout for them and they'll hear you and come and sort it out for you. It means a lot, and it makes a big difference just mentally as well, for how much you're able to concentrate on what you're doing as a streamer, as opposed to worrying about the sort of admin side of it in the chat as well. By the way, have you stopped talking yet? Because you should still keep talking. Like, I cannot stress this enough, just how important it is to just keep up that conversation. Just keep talking, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. It's wearing and it's tiring to talk continually for hours at a time. But yeah, make sure you schedule in a few small breaks within your stream to give yourself a little bit of time to rest your voice, and you will see the reward of just keeping up that conversation for each and every new person that comes in through that door. It will make a huge difference. And, you know, let's not just talk about the game. Pick yourself a few topics, perhaps a few things that have just happened in the news, or in the gaming news, for example. Oh, have you seen the latest Fortnite patch? Oh, it's ridiculous that they're getting rid of the double pump glitch that was in there for the entire time. By the way, that's the thing where you can like use 2 pump shotguns back to back and just keep switching through them. I don't play Fortnite, but I'm aware of it because I know that that's a topic of debate that is worth talking around. Is that a glitch? Is that something that's slightly intended? Is that a way that people can work to use the game to their advantage? That's a conversation topic that I can use in my stream. I play mostly like RPGs and stuff. I played some Fortnite PvE, but that's it. I've never played the PvP, not a single time in my life. But I'm aware of that subject because I know people that come into my chat may want to talk about Fortnite PvPs and some of the changes and whatever else that have been made in the game. That might be something that I just want to bring up because in the game that I'm playing, I just so happen to see a shotgun and I go, oh, by the way, guys, did you hear about the change that they're making in Fortnite, blah, blah, blah. And having all of those different topic strings at your availability, just keeping up with like the gaming news is a very good place to keep up with. If you just skim read a few different websites at the start of your stream, it'll make a huge difference in providing you different topics to discuss through on your stream. And it's something that I highly recommend. But those would be your first steps to, you know, starting to build yourself up and to making sure that a few plans are in place to make those first few viewers all the easier to succeed in gaining for your channel. So this lecture deals with where your viewers are. Where are they? So the first thing I really want to point out is it's not easy. Pulling in your viewers is not an easy practice in any way, shape or form. The wind could be blowing in the right direction. You may have put out all of the posts in the right places. You may have talked about this stream for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's still not easy to pull those viewers in. There may be any number of things that go on Twitch that may pull them elsewhere. They may be having things happening in their own lives that pull them away from your channel. So keep that in the back of your mind at all times. It's not easy. It's not something that just comes like no effort at all to anyone. It's something that you continually have to battle with, and don't be disheartened by the fact that people don't always turn up, and people don't always pump up your numbers in the way that you would like. You will have some quiet streams, you will have some busier streams. There'll be a bit of a swing between that. Sometimes you'll get hosted, sometimes you won't. Sometimes when you get hosted, those viewers won't get involved in your channel. Sometimes they will. So there's always a bit of swing with it, I guess, is what I'm trying to impress here. And yeah, definitely don't get disheartened by it. We all have quiet streams. I have quiet streams. I'm sure Skits and Renessa also have their own quiet streams from time to time where there's just hardly anyone talking, there's hardly anyone viewing comparative to their regular numbers. It happens, okay? Like, it's something that you do need to accept and keep in mind. Now, ways that obviously you can be using to pull people into your stream would be, working across your social media. So like your personal social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your whatever platforms that you're on. You've got Vero that's just sprung up out of nowhere, Mastodon. There's a bunch of different social media accounts. Now, use the ones that you already exist upon. Even Snapchat as well is another way that you can use to pull people in. Now, use those social media platforms to pull people in. Just make sure that you don't turn those social media platforms into, hi, I'm going live, hi, I'm going live, hi, I'm going live, I'm going live, I'm going live, I'm going live, and that's it. You need to keep up the normal interactions that you would have across those social media platforms. Keep, the discussions flowing and talking to people and posting up stupid memes or whatever it is that you normally do on those platforms. But also, leverage the people that you have within those social media platforms to start advertising what you're doing and to bring people in, and make sure that when you're posting out on those social media platforms, you're providing people with a reason to come. Don't just be putting hashtag support small streamers, because I've gone on many tirades about just how useless that hashtag is over time. It doesn't help. No one searches that hashtag to try and find ways to support people specifically because they're small. No one wants to support small streamers. People want to support good streamers regardless of their size, right? So put something exciting in the go live announcement. Say that, I don't know, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z in my game today. I'm going to be messing around doing this. Oh, this is my favourite game of all time. You should come check it out because I know it like the back of my hand, and I'll be able to give you a full guide through of how to play this game, or provide people reasons. There's always going to be something unique to you regarding the content that you're putting out. You can impress upon these people and provide a reason for them to come in. And if you're just starting out as well, call in a few favours, man. Like, don't be ashamed to like just say, look, I've known you for 25 years, my friend. I've known you for so long. Could you do me this small favour of just don't even watch? Just put it on in the background. Go around, do your laundry, go and do your housework, and I don't know, do your homework, whatever it is that you're going to be doing with your day. But just keep the stream on in the background, and just help me out. Give me an extra viewer number. It helps push me up the list on the directory, and it just helps because it looks like there's more people in there already, so people are more likely to come in. Just do that. Like, that's not going to be an awful ask for anyone, for them to just use a little bit of bandwidth that's going to be sat there anyway. Just ask them to throw the stream up. It does help. It makes a difference. Every single extra viewer that you have in your channel increases your visibility. So if you can get 2 or 3 friends to just throw up the stream and leave it on in the background, that's already qualifying you for affiliate status right there. 3 viewers. That's what it takes. So it's a powerful tool if you know how to use it and you've got the ability to really take advantage of it. And one of the things that I really want to make sure that you don't do is be that guy, which is the guy that goes into someone else's stream and goes, "Oh hey, I'm streaming this game too, you should totally come watch me." That will get you banned from pretty much any community on Twitch. It's actually technically in breach of TOS, and you can be reported for doing so, because that's classed as a form of advertising as well, and spamming across Twitch. Don't do it. No one ever clicks on your link from you popping up in someone else's channel saying, "Oh, you should come watch me." No one does it, because those people are there to watch that streamer, and you just look like some scumbag that's just rolled in the door and started preaching about what you do. You're the door-to-door salesman of the world, where you're just rolling up into someone's place, uninvited, unwanted, and just demanding that they buy some products from you, or whatever it is. Like, it's just it's the worst. It's one of the worst faux pas that you can do on Twitch. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, back to concentrating on your own channel though. Hide your viewer number. It's a huge piece of advice I give to most people, especially when they're starting out, because your viewer number, especially to start, is probably not going to be saying 10 people, 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. It's probably going to be saying 0, 1, 2, 3. And knowing that you're not performing particularly well is really disheartening. And it really, well, for me and for a lot of people I know, it just lowers the quality of your content, because you're not performing to Wembley Arena. You're not performing to like the biggest crowd you've ever seen. You're performing to a couple of people. And it doesn't feel like you should put on as big a show, because it's not as big a crowd. Maybe one day you got a host for 1,000 people and you put on the best stream of your life because you were under pressure to perform in front of all those people, right? And then the next day you've only got your usual couple of people in your channel, and you're like, "Oh, well, it's just back to these couple of normal people." And it's super disheartening to work in that fashion. You should be putting on the same show no matter who's in your channel. No matter how many people are in your channel, it doesn't make a difference. You should be putting on the same show every single time, the same quality show every single time. So, just pretend that it says 0 people. If you're the sort of person that gets really nervous about talking in front of loads of people or streaming in front of loads of people, whatever it is, pretend it says 0 the entire time, and all the people that are in the chat are just people that are in the, and they're just people you can back and forth with over an IM, but they can hear you and you can only read what they're saying. So it says 0 or it says 1. It's that one guy chatting in your chat, and you're just keeping him company on his day. However, if you're the flip side, which is you really need the approval of other people watching your content to drive you forward, pretend it says 1,000 people at all times. They're just a bit quiet today. But your viewer count is 1,000 people, and you're performing to that 1,000 people. So you better put on the best damn show that you've ever put on, because there's 1,000 people watching you right now. And you've only got Billy Bob 215 in your chat. He's the only one that's talking at the moment, because everyone else is just too busy being in awe of your content. Just whatever you need to do to make sure that you put on the best show that you possibly can, do it. Well, what's it going to hurt? Your number's hidden. You don't actually know the true number anyway. So just pretend that it's whatever number you need it to, and just get that in your mindset. It'll take a while of just impressing that upon yourself over and over again, that this is my viewer count. No matter what, this is my viewer count. There's just more or less people in the chat, and that's all it is. But if you keep impressing that upon yourself, eventually that mindset will sink in, and you start operating like it's the way that you've always streamed, and that's how everything reflects. And I guess the main thing that I can really say as well is expect no viewers. Never expect someone to turn up, and stream as if you're not expecting them to turn up. Don't plan your stream dependent on viewer interaction, because it might not happen, and then you're left with nothing to work with for the rest of your stream. So presume that no one's going to be there. Start creating your content in that way, and even when there are people turning up, still presume that no one's going to turn up, because that way you're prepared for all situations. You can adapt to the situation if there are people there and say, "Hey, it's great that you're here. Do you want to pop into a game of whatever game it is that you're playing that day with me? Hey, do you fancy going a few rounds in Call of Duty or whatever it is that you're doing, right?" you can turn around and say that at the time when you're sure that this is the case and there's an individual that you're specifically talking to. But certainly early on, don't do any of the sort of, hey, playing games with viewers live, because then if there's no viewers, you can't. And you just sat there twiddling your thumbs waiting for someone to turn up, which isn't engaging content, which means someone probably won't turn up. And it's a bit of a catch-22 in that way, right? So if you're doing multiplayer gaming sessions, make sure that it's an open lobby so anyone can come through and you can invite anyone into your game. But be prepared to jump into multiplayer games with randos, or queue up for dungeons, or whatever it is that you're doing with just other players, rather than relying upon those other viewers to take part. And that should really put you in the right state of mind for ensuring that you're operating well under whatever viewer load that you're getting to come into your channel at any point in time. Just make sure you're operating in the same sort of state of mind the whole way through, and don't let high or low numbers fluster you in any way, shape or form, and you'll really start to see some success. So in regards to scheduling, it's worth putting it into mind similar to TV. So you would just tune in at a certain time in the week to watch your favourite TV shows. I mean, we don't do that as much nowadays now that we've got video on demand, but you understand the same sort of sentiment. I always used to know that my favourite comedy shows were on Friday night on 9 p.m. on BBC Two. So I would always tune in at that exact time in order to make sure that I was catching the TV shows that I liked most. And it's exactly the same with your Twitch stream. If people know that you're always on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday, they're always going to turn up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday if they're able to, in order to catch your content. So that's the way to keep it in mind, and that's hugely important in order to make sure that you start building up your regular audience and you start making it a lot easier for people to really start engaging with your stream on a regular basis. Now, it does help to understand your audience and their time zones. So if your audience, or the audience for the game that you play, for example, are primarily available after sort of school times, for example, you've got quite a young audience, let's say, for example, they will typically come along sort of after 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in their local time zone to start watching your stream. It would make sense to try to schedule up your stream to be live around those times. Now, obviously, your needs and requirements come first. It's going to make sense for you to schedule around your life and your lifestyle. But if it's possible for you to schedule stuff up alongside where your audience fits, then that can definitely help boost your numbers and to help build and grow that regular audience a little bit more easily. Now, we do cover some extensions a bit further back in this course as well. So if you go back into some of the advice that I provided earlier on in the course, there are some extensions that you can put into the bio of your stream to show when your schedule is, you're going to be live at this time in the week. And if you stick to that schedule, which is really something that I hugely and strongly recommend that you do, as much as you possibly can, stick to your schedule, because again, people know when and where to find you. But if you have that information on display on your bio, you don't necessarily need to use an extension. You can put it in text form if you wanted to in your bio, but the extensions make it look a little more flashy, a little more eye-catching, so people are more likely to see it. Plus, they tend to have the countdown timer as well, which allows you to see when you're next going to go live. But if you have that information available for people, people will take note of it. They will realise that, oh, this guy is going to always be live at 5 p.m, so I'm going to make sure that I'm around and available at 5 p.m. because I really want to catch his content. I'm really, wanting to engage with the content that's on this channel. So the more that you put the schedules into place, the more that you stick to those schedules as well, is the more likelihood that you're going to create for yourself. The more likely you are to snowball with your viewership and creating those regular viewers as well. So it really is a snowball effect, and schedules do aid in that as well. So your first stream, you might have one person, and the next time that one person brings their friend, and you end up with 2 people on that next scheduled stream, and then 4 people on the next one, and so forth. It's not going to work in exactly that fashion, but that's kind of the theory that we're working on there, and the viewership should grow across time as you do better stick to that viewership across time. So schedules, they're super important. If you want to really grow your channel, create one, stick to one, and be realistic about it as well. Don't create a schedule that you aren't able to stick to, because the less you stick to the schedule that you've already named, the less likely people are to trust that schedule, and the less likely people are to take heed of it and actually turn up for it as well. So here we're talking all about consistency. So you may think that this is quite similar to the scheduling course that we already had, the scheduling lecture that was just before this, actually. But it is a different subject, and it's something that really needs to be stressed, I feel. So, again with the scheduling, or similar to the scheduling, it's very similar to TV, right? You know that this particular show has a 26 episode run, and it's going to be on every week from now until Christmas, or whatever it is, right? But you're aware that if you come back and you come back and you come back and you come back and you come back, that you're going to see a slow change. You're going to see new parts of the story being revealed. You're going to see this character grow and build into something exciting. And that's why you watch that show, right? That's the investment that you have within that particular stream, or, well, in this case, TV show, is the reason that you keep coming back, right? So it's the same thing with your stream. Like if you make someone have an investment in you as a person, as a personality, as the project that you're taking part in, whatever it is that you're doing with your stream, if you make sure that people are invested in what you do, they'll keep coming back if you keep being consistent. If you keep giving them that reason to come back, if you keep driving on and improving and building and growing, people really get invested in that. So for myself, like a great example is you may have heard of a streamer called Spamfish, right? Now he's done loads of hosting and events and front page stuff with Twitch and special projects with various different games companies. He's done, like, you name it. He's done pretty much everything on Twitch. He's a fantastic streamer. But I first knew Spam when he was getting like single viewers. Way back when, many years ago, he was part of a stream team called Game On. And he just joined them, and he was a very small streamer, and he was still building up his numbers and whatever else. And I latched onto him at that point in time as being a really entertaining bloke. He was just talking about his life and whatever else. But I feel like a really strong sense of attachment to Spamfish's content because I've been along with that journey. I've seen the consistency of his content growing and building and going in these different directions, and I have a personal investment in his success because I've known him for so long and I've watched so much of his content that I want to see him do well. I want to see him keep doing better, and that's what consistency does. Is it impresses that sort of that feeling of reward for you as a viewer in seeing that person do well, and in pulling more people to come and check this streamer out. Hey, look, they're pushing towards this. So something that consistency can really do for you. And the way to think about it is, what kind of streamer would you follow? Would you follow a streamer that goes, well, I stream whenever I feel like it, sometimes I'll do every day for a week, sometimes I'll do once a month, just whatever way the wind blows, I'll stream? Or would you rather watch a streamer that's like, oh yeah, I've been streaming like 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for the past 5 years, and that's when you can catch me at 3 p.m. every single day. Who would you rather follow? Like, if you one of them you can follow, and you might see them stream again, you might not see them stream ever again. They might start streaming at 4 o'clock in the morning for all you know. Or the one that's going to continually and forever keep creating new content and continue keeping a pattern that you can follow. And another part of that as well is, if you play like sort of longer running games, so like games with a long story, maybe like a 20, 30, 40, 50 hour game, which you're just not going to get done in 1 or even 2 streams, right? If I'm watching that as a viewer, I want to see you go through that whole game. I don't want to see like the first chapter of the game, then chapter 5, then chapter 7, and then the end of the game. I want to see chapters 1 through 20. Because I want to find out what happens in that game as well. I want to see what your reactions in that game are as well. But if you were doing part 1 of your stream of it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then part 2 of it at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then part 3 of it at 7 o'clock in the morning, and on like 3 different days across 2 different months, how the hell am I going to be able to keep track of that? What investment would I have to keep coming back to try to watch that when I know I'm going to be missing parts, and then I'm not really going to want to watch something from further into that game because I've already missed some important parts from earlier in the game, and some character building or some story progression or whatever it is. So imagine it in terms of a graph. You want to see your consistency just to be continually on that sort of 45-degree angle, right? Just heading further upwards. It's strong, it's steady, it's heading in the right direction, and it's easy to follow, right? It's something that you can just keep track of and keep on target with. Whereas, if your graph is wavy and jagged and jumping up and down, it looks chaotic, right? Like it looks difficult to read, difficult to follow, and that's exactly the same analogy that I would apply to your stream. Like, it's very, very difficult to follow content that is so chaotic and is so here, there, and everywhere, as opposed to something that's just a straight line heading in the right direction. Sounds a bit of a cheesy way of putting it, but it really does kind of help you kind of fix it in mind as to how powerful a tool consistency can be to building your stream. So the activity along with this section is going to be taking your first steps. So finding out who your first viewers are going to be and to start pointing them towards your stream and the times that you're going to be streaming. Planning out your actual schedule so you've got that all written down and it's something that you're going to stick to and be able to keep using as you go along. figuring out where you're going to promote it. So which social media channels that you're going to utilize in order to start spreading the word, and trying to pin down what your unique edge is going to be that's going to bring people to your channel and give them a real reason to come and find out what you do. Everyone has a USP, a unique selling point. That's how technology works as well. Everything has a unique selling point. You need to establish which one is yours, and then you need to be really projecting that and pushing that out when you're promoting your first stream. So download the attached PDF and get cracking with the activity to put those first steps into place for you. So let's talk about growth. Now, this is something that doesn't happen by itself. Just by throwing out content, regardless of how good that content is, growth doesn't just magically happen. There's been cases of streamers before that have been making some really, really good quality content, but because it wasn't marketed and spread in the right way, it took an incredibly long time for them to be discovered as they chopped and changed and switched between different methods to push their content out into sort of the public consciousness almost, before they really started to see some viewership and some growth on their channel really starting to expand. Now, obviously the most important part is networking in various different forms across social media, across Twitch itself, using different tools like Discord as well, but we'll go into networking in a later lecture. Now, let's focus on social media. Now, I mentioned this a little bit previously as well, but it's more than just your go live message. You can't just have a list of, hey, I'm going live, hey, I'm going live, hey, I'm going live. That won't work, because no one wants to engage with that kind of content. No one cares about you going live if they've got no context to you going live. If all they know about you is you stream on Twitch, well, millions of people stream on Twitch. Like, that doesn't make you special in any way. That doesn't make people want to click on that content in any kind of way. So one of the things that I do is I just post stupid memes up on the internet. If we're being perfectly honest, that's exactly what I do. So some of my more popular tweets that have like really gained a lot of traction and have gained me followers and people looking at my profile and stuff like that, are like a GIF of some weird dude trotting about, which I linked into a Bloodborne sort of style. A magic spell for de-stressing yourself, which was just like a really spoofy, jokey thing. It's just real weird, jokey stuff, but there's stuff that people find amusing, entertaining. They'll retweet it, they'll like it, which means my name turns up on more people's profiles and more people's news feeds and following lists and whatever else. And then when I do post my go lives, people see it. People see it and they go, "Oh, it's that guy that posted that really weird thing that time. Let's go and check out his channel." And that pulls some people towards you, and that starts growing your channel in sort of non-traditional directions, I guess is the best way of putting it. So, you know, just some weird meme can actually make the difference between you having no viewers and 5 viewers some days, or, you know, 20 viewers and 50 viewers, or whatever it is, that, you know, the difference making that you're trying to put into place. And they're hugely important. They break up your feed from looking like it's just an advertising feed, and it makes you look like you are a real person, because after all, you are a real person. You do things outside of streaming, and they're all relevant. They're all things that you bring into what you do while you're streaming. All those extra hobbies and things that you go out and do, stuff that you read, stuff that you say to other people, they all have a reflection within your stream. So make sure they're also reflected across all of your different forms of social media. It makes sense, right? Now, another thing that you can really do to reinforce the value that you have in your stream is to make your relationship with your viewers more than just an on-stream thing. So you're not just sitting there sort of preaching from your altar to your chat and just saying, oh, well, this is my opinion on this, and you'll have some conversations with them and back and forth and whatever, but also when you're on your other social media bits and pieces, you're asking them how their day is, you're asking them to send you pictures of their cats, you're interacting with them on a human level as well as on an influencer to viewer level, or a content creator to viewer level, whatever your preferred terminology is for that kind of setup. And that really creates, as I say, more value for them, between them and you as people, as well as you as a kind of service as well. So it really does provide a lot of value for them in that way. And I think that's something that not only makes them want to come and watch your content themselves, but for them to turn around to one of their friends or their family or someone within a community that they share and say, hey, come check this guy out. They do stuff around streaming this game, that game, whatever else. But also, I was having a really crap day, and they took the time out to actually go, oh, okay, well, maybe you can try doing this, and this will make your day a little bit better, or this will resolve that situation for you, or try and help you along in a different way. And I'm not saying that you should only help people for personal gain, because that's a pretty awful way to lead your life. But it's that caring and that kind of different type of relationship between you and the viewer that really makes a difference and makes you stand out from other streamers in that way that try to keep their viewers at sort of arm's length. Because at the end of the day, you are all people. You're all people interacting on different platforms in different ways, but at the end of the day, you are people. And I don't think that perceived boundaries necessarily should affect the way that you interact with each other, and should lessen the way that you interact with each other. And of course, with growth, it's made of so many different parts, much like this course is. We've got sections and lectures all over the place. Like there's 100 different topics in here, more than 100 different topics for that matter. So there's a lot of different bits and pieces that you can do to pull together to create a whole kind of strategy and a whole kind of purpose and meaning behind the content that you create that aids that growth. And if you follow all of the steps that we've got set out here, it will give you the best chance at your growth. There are bits that may not apply to you. There are bits that may apply more than others to you. There may be additional things that you find work specifically for you. But growth is by no means, just having a good social media feed does not mean that you're going to grow as a channel. Just creating good content on its own on your channel without doing any of the other steps does not mean that you're going to grow. Just networking with other streamers doesn't mean that you're going to grow if your content's not good or your social media is not up to scratch or whatever else. It's all about the entire plan. So like if you take it in terms of a company, for example, right? Now, let's say we're talking about a retail company, a shop, a supermarket, okay? So without the overall strategy of the CEO of that company, who's seeing which direction that company should be heading in, the whole company kind of crumbles and falls apart, right? Without the HR department, who's making sure that all of the workers are being taken care of and being looked after and having their needs met, and any issues that are arising from their working relationships are being resolved, the whole thing falls apart. No one wants to work there. Without the people dealing with the supply lines and bringing the new products into the store, they've got nothing to sell. The whole thing falls apart. Without the people physically in the stores putting the things on the shelves, there's nothing to sell within that store. The whole thing falls apart. Without people on the tills or the cashiers actually selling those products, they're not making any money. The whole thing falls apart. And it's exactly the same way that you should look at your growth. You can't just focus on one thing. You can't just have loads of great ideas from the top and then never action them further down the line and never have anything taken care of that's the day-to-day running. So I would view the actual store itself as the day-to-day running of your stream, keeping up with your social media and posting out and doing the networking and talking to the customers, if that's the way that you want to look at it. That's your day-to-day running of the stream, whereas the CEO is a person coming up with all of the ideas for the stream and the ways to to move things about, and your HR person's a person that's taking care of your community and caring about your community and making sure that they're being looked after, and you're not just kind of glossing over their needs and their wants. And it's that whole complex structure that means that company becomes successful. And that's exactly the same logic that you can apply to your stream. Without each of those moving parts, the chance of success of that company is greatly lessened. And that's probably the best way that I can think of to look at growth within your stream. Make sure that each of those moving parts, each of those important subjects are well covered off, that you're taking time out away from your stream, away from just making the content itself, to think about what you're doing, to think about the direction that you're taking, to think about your community and the way that they're being looked after, and to make sure that they're being cared about and their needs are being seen to make sure that the supply lines are maintained and you're getting new content for your channel coming through in the form of different games. For example, you may be applying for game codes and whatever else once you reach a certain size. You may be looking for new topics of discussion. Those are your supply lines. You're restocking the shelves and creating new stuff in there by putting them at the stock level within the store, which again is putting that content out there and making that content available for people to be able to consume it. And then you've got your cashier level, making sure that people are engaging with you before leaving your sort of sphere of influence. And maybe that does result in a sale insofar as like a donation or a subscription or whatever. Maybe it just results in a fellowship and a promise to come back another day, but it still works in exactly the same fashion. And that's a logic that I would very strongly recommend putting in place across your stream. Gimmicks are an interesting thing. They don't work for everyone, and they're a lot of effort to maintain and to build upon and to keep them fresh. But they can work very, very, very well. And they can be used in a few different ways. Either you can make it your entire stream persona. So something like Call of Cthulhu, for example. So this guy does sort of eldritch themed stuff from the H.P. Lovecraft books, and everything is very much thematic around that. He does a lot of horror stuff. He reads from the Necronomicon when he gets a new sub, and it's all very thematic, and he very rarely slips out of character, and he's been doing that the entire time he's been streaming. And that works very well for him, and it's something he keeps up and maintains over time, and it works fantastically well for him. Sometimes people use it as like a vehicle to reach their goals, which maybe partnership, maybe a certain level of partnership, maybe just bumping the viewers up, whatever it might be. So someone like Future Man Gaming, for example, started his whole journey as someone that was from the future, had been sent back in time to combat video games that took over the world in the future or something like that. He had like this really sort of 80s style futuristic jumpsuit on and did loads of mad dancing and stuff like that, and it was very, very unique, and it was very fun and very cool. And then over time, as his success grew and his notoriety grew, that slowly started to take a bit more of a back seat as far as his content was concerned, and now he focuses on doing like live DJ stuff and different bits and pieces around that, which again are really, really cool. But the gimmick itself was just almost a method to reach the goal. There's actually a fantastic talk around gimmicks and how they're used in that way, which was on a TwitchCon panel, which I strongly recommend checking out if it's something that you're looking to do sometime in the future. There's people like Call of Cthulhu on there. There's Burke Black, who plays as a pirate. You got General Mittens, who pretends to be a cat. There's a bunch of different people like that on that panel, and indeed in the audience as well. Really, really good. They talk about the theory of how they sort of grew towards that goal, and it's a great watch. Now, if this is something that you want to sort of pursue, the first thing you can do is study the market. Now, the real thing that you want to be doing is finding something that hasn't been done before or is no longer done to fill that niche, because no one needs 50 the one-manies, dudes just being a dog on stream and making loads of dog-related puns and dancing around to the music and whatever else. While it's fantastic when the one-manie does it, and very, very entertaining, it's not when you're just a cheap knockoff version of what he does. There's not market for really two of the same anywhere on Twitch, in my opinion, because you will always be compared to whoever did it first or whoever does it best, and it will generally be unfavourable unless you somehow manage to grow larger than them, but it's unlikely that that's going to occur. So look for the gaps in the market, find those gaps, and see if there is a way that you can realistically fill it. Now, gimmick stuff typically takes more work than doing your average stream. Usually you have to put in more work to keeping up the appearance, or keeping stuff on theme, or producing more materials to work with in order to remain within that same theme, or you need to know your subject matter extremely well, to the point where you almost have to study it in order to know it perfectly. So again, like going back to Call of Cthulhu, he knows, I think, every line from every H.P. Lovecraft book off the top of his head, and he can quote them and read through them at any given point in time, and that's quite a rare skill, if we're being honest. But that's why he's so successful. The one man he always uses face rig to present himself as this dog, this sort of fun-loving, joking around, jovial thing, and that's how he creates and contains and continues his success. Whilst he has done some IRL streams, it was a very long time before he even did a face reveal on stream, for example, which was actually unintentional, but hey. But yeah, the most important thing I can impress is to make sure, while you should be unique in whatever method you decide to stream within, gimmick streaming, you have to be really, really unique in order to make a success of something. Because people will just continually compare you to the competition, and unless you're matching them number for number, odds are you're probably going to lose out because of that. But it can work. It does work, as is evidenced by the people who do make it big using that stuff. I mean, Dr. Disrespect is pretty well known. But do understand that it takes a hell of a lot of extra work in order to put all of that stuff into place and to keep maintaining it. So I've talked a lot about networking throughout this section so far. So we really need to discuss what I mean by networking. Now, as far as networking goes on Twitch, it's not possible to really do it utterly transparently or just utterly driven to do networking for networking's sake. We're not here exchanging business cards, we're not here sharing contact lists, we're not here sharing suppliers and hookups with various different companies necessarily. I mean, some of that can occur, but it's generally in context of making friends. Twitch is a hugely, hugely social platform, right? I mean, that should be readily apparent. But networking on Twitch is realistically making friends on Twitch. It's finding people whose content you enjoy and fits in with your content as well, making friends with them and maybe doing some co-op streams with them, or joining them on their stream, or just being really active in their chat and joking around with them and tweeting at them and hanging out in their discords. That's just what it is. It's people that you would get on with if you happen to meet them in the real world and bumped into them at a convention and got chatting, for example. Like, that is what networking is on Twitch. Now, the main sticking point is you can't really force it. It has to be kind of an organic thing. So I can't turn around to Man vs. Game and say, "Hey man, you need to be my friend. We need to. I'll raid you. You raid me. Follow for follow." Because, well, I mean, for one, follow for follow is trash and doesn't work and should have died out in the MySpace era. But you know, like trying to force interactions on a sort of networking level. Hey, who did your emotes? Give me their name. Stuff like that. Like, being demanding back and forth is never going to work. However, if you made friends with Man vs. Game and you started talking to him at a convention, got on really well with him, and by the way, he's a super nice guy. He's quite shy at conventions. Like, he doesn't really like the public thing too much, but like he's a super friendly guy. But yeah, if you were to just make friends with them, then yeah, you could get on really well, and it would be great. And maybe that will lead to you doing stuff back and forth between each other, or perhaps it won't. You know, he's likely to raid people that he gets on with, but equally, he probably follows quite a lot of people at this stage. You know, it's kind of one of the things that happens on Twitch. But yeah, the one thing I should really stress, and this is something I've talked about publicly on a very wide scale: follow for follow, begging people for follows, excessive hashtag using. So hashtag support small streamers, hashtag such and such stream team name, hashtag plus follow, hashtag Twitch or Twitch retweets, or any of those sort of services. They are not networking. They are not improving your lot on Twitch. You get a lot of stream teams and stream organizations that try to encourage that kind of activity. They're all pyramid schemes of some degree, or scams, which basically encourage you to get involved and to put your effort and to put your networking into the sort of communal pot, which only really feeds the people at the top and doesn't really feed anyone further down the rankings. So make sure that the networking you're doing is on an individualized basis with individuals, and you are sharing interests, you're sharing experience, you're not just begging each other for follows, because that's not going to be an attractive thing to anyone to take part in. Now, there are ways you can enhance this. So you can go to local meetup events. There are quite a few Twitch meetup events that are popping up here and there. In the States, for example, they're usually done either by city or by state. In the UK, we have Twitch London, which occurs twice a year. Other locations are slowly starting to occur. There are some in Canada as well, but not as many as there are in the US. But they're very, very good spots to go to, because they're just a social event. They're not like a convention where you're kind of looking to talk to developers and so forth. They're a social event. You go there, you meet other streamers, you meet other viewers, moderators, affiliates, partners, even Twitch staff in some cases, and you just get on with each other and you have a few drinks and you have some conversations and you talk about the woes of being a Twitch streamer, and it's great, and you make friends. The last one I went to, which was Twitch London back in December, I came away there with probably 10, 15 new people that I now follow on a regular basis and interact with on a regular basis. And by exchange, I probably have about the same amount of people who are strong supporters of my community now. And while that doesn't sound like a huge number, those are strong supporters, and they're very difficult to find, even out of the viewers and the visitors and followers and whatever else that you get to your Twitch platform. And you'll be able to see the difference between a very strong supporter and just someone that follows you in your chat, with how much they interact, how much they try to support you via other means, tweeting and donating and so forth. You'll see the difference. Other places, obviously, you've got like your gaming conventions as well around the world. Again, they are very good locations to network with people and talk to people and meet new people. Usually if there's a Twitch stage, it's very good to just sort of hang around there and talk to the people who turn up, and because you can always tell when someone's either a streamer there or they're just interested in Twitch or whatever else, and you can just strike up a conversation. Don't turn around to them and say, "Hey, I'm a streamer, you should come and watch me," because that's not attractive. That looks needy, it looks desperate, and it looks like you're just there to try and court their followership. Just have a conversation with them. Talk to them about Twitch. Talk to them about who their favourite followers, who their favourite streamers are, who their favourite partners are, what brought them over to the stand today. Have you met this person before? Blah, blah, blah. And eventually the conversation will turn to, by the way, do you stream? And that's the point where you've made that friendship, and now they're interested enough to come and actually look at your stream. And they'll turn into a viewer from that, and they'll turn into a follower from that. And that's where the difference is. Rather than just you throwing it straight into their face and saying, "Hey, I'm a streamer, come watch me," you're creating some human engagement. You're creating a friendship. You're creating a connection, which makes them give a damn about whether you actually do it. And also remember, it's not just for people on the same platform to you. You're not supposed to just network with Twitch people. What about game devs? They have a product that they're trying to give to you or sell to you. Network with them. Talk to them. Send them dumb memes. Send them pictures of your cat if that's something that they want. She'll probably hate me saying this, but Kat from Square Enix, who deals with the Western stuff, if you send her... at the moment, she's currently begging people to send pictures of dogs to her, I believe. Send her pictures of your dog. She's called Psycho Cat on Twitter. Send her pictures of your dog. And you're instantly in with Square Enix from there on, right? But you can at least get added to her mailing list, and she's lovely, right? Community managers, PR people. There are so many people out there that operate in the things that surround Twitch, the different platforms and products and whatever else that surround Twitch. You can interact with them, you can discuss them. They all have a vested interest in your content, and you have a vested interest in their content, and they're just humans at the end of a Twitter account or a Facebook account or a Discord tag. They're all still people. They're all people that want to play games as well. They're all people that want to find stuff to watch. They're all people that want to get involved with new people. The reason community managers and PR managers and whatever else get their jobs is because they're good at doing that. They have an interest in doing that. They're skilled at talking to people and at networking people. Interact with them. Learn from them. They're masters of their craft. And honestly, the community managers around the world are some of the most unsung heroes of our industry. Interact with them. Brighten up their day a little bit. They will remember you for brightening up their day a little bit just by sending a stupid joke or a stupid picture, or just asking how their day is going, or responding to some of their posts. It makes a world of difference, and you will be remembered for it. And you've made a human connection. You've not just immediately gone to them and gone, "Oh, by the way, I stream, you should give me a game. Hi, thanks, bye." Like, that's not an attractive thing. You've not sold anything to that community manager at that stage. However, if you turn around to that community manager and start making some dumb jokes with them and whatever else, they'll check out your Twitter profile or whatever profile it is. I usually use Twitter for interacting with them. and they'll go, oh, this person streams, let's follow them, let's check out their channel, let's see if they're suitable for some of the stuff that we do. And that is networking. That is what makes a difference, and that is what helps you build and what helps you grow and what helps you find more people to get involved with your content, to be pushing you forever more to the next level. So this is the activity based around networking. I know, 2 activities in one section, but hey, stick with it, it's worth it, right? So networking, what we're going to do here is we're going to set out some positive movements for you to perform on social media. So when you're going to start building up your sets of actions that you do on social media in order to add more than just your going live content, we're going to find some people for you to start interacting with over on Twitter. So find out people that are in the same sort of area as you are, but perhaps slightly larger than you on social media, and begin interacting with them on a friendly level, which is, as we discussed in the previous lecture, the method of networking on Twitch is not just, hey, follow me. And we're also going to find some new streams to hang out in as a viewer, because that's another way to reach out to people and to make them appreciate that you're a good person in the community, is just by hanging out in some new places and to find new people that really kind of make the content that you appreciate. So those are the things we're going to outline on the attached PDF. So grab hold of that and start working through and getting a few first ideas together to improve your networking.